rest of the grid is set by a random draw, and here's how the draw gets shook out. It is Red River Sport who starts on pole position, car 110. They have Gareth Williams starting that car alongside Team Seed Data, car number 99. That's got Mike Devlin at the wheel. Then it's Team Uwe Hoffmann's Lotus Motorsport, multiple champions with Farkini at the wheel, and Team Fueled Up Racing will start in fourth with Paul Ellis-Smith on the grid there. EDF Motorsport in car 104 starting in fifth position. Victor Cara starts that car alongside the defending champions making their first appearance. Ian Wood starts that car in sixth. GCI Racing, MJ Tech in 249 and starts 7th with Scott Jeffs. Alongside him in 8th place on the grid was another one of the cars in the mix. Team Shire GB with the Smeets in 9th position. Team 212, another EDF car with Rob Croydon at the wheel, starts in 10th to round off the top 10. Then it's Team Ratters Racing and Team 3 Motorsport on the 6th row of the grid from Team Greenheath, one of the cars to watch out for on the field, and Vape Club with EDF. That's a team that's been getting stronger and stronger over the last couple of seasons. The James Gang, one of our brand new teams this season, starting 15th on the 8th row of the grid, alongside GT Radio, which features Ellis Hadley and former World Superbike champion Sylvain Gintoli. He starts the car in 16th place on the 8th row of the grid. There's the JPR for hire car in 251 alongside Question Tools, and some of our faster teams right towards the back in the around the grid draw, particularly Team Viking and Ursus Capital in 19th on the grid, Team PLR Racing in 20th, and the former champions and Brands Hatch winners Team Olympian with the squad of Chris Devell, Riley Phillips and Christian Rose. Chris starting the car, starting in 21st and last at the back of the grid.
Back up the centre straight to start this race. The one thing to look out for, Scott, the heat's starting to set in. It's a glorious day out there. Barely a cloud in the sky, but here we go. We're going to go racing this time around.
We certainly are. Red River Sport on the front row of the grid, looking to try and possibly get themselves towards the front and taking out the advantage. Lights are out on the gantry, and round 2 of the 2023 Fun Cup Endurance Championship bursts into life here in the heat of Snetterton and down towards turn 1 for the first time. It's already a very strong start from one of the former champions, Uwe Hoffmann's Motorsport, who are already into second place, already past GCI Racing as they turn into the right-hander, and as Viking Ursus Capital try to make their way through a couple of spots already, you've got PLR Racing and in there too the Team Olympian car, and that's a big move down the inside from Hoffmann's Motorsport. That's almost a record getting towards the front of the field for them. They usually take a little bit longer than that, but I think their record was about 13 minutes from towards the back of the field. They started a bit further up in that one, but they're already diving down the inside of Red River Sport, and they also got past GCI Racing in the process off the start too. So a quick start for GCI Racing, who are not normally the fastest of starters, but they're very good race cars in terms of picking their way through and getting to the right position at the right sharp end of the race. But GCI Racing already with Ian Wood at the wheel getting to the front of the field. It's an Uwe Hoffmann's Motorsport into second place, moving into third there. That's possible. I think that's one of the Axiometrics cars getting in there too as well. There's GT Radio with Sylvain Gintoli at the wheel, being passed by the Shy GB car, and that's the car with the Smeets at the wheel. I think there's a bit of a sideways moment there for the Vape Club EDF Motorsport machine as well. That car is trying to make its way up the order with Vlad Vasiliev at the wheel. But it looks as though it's a relatively strong but clean start from everyone in front. But the regular front runners already into the top 2 and trying to pull away early doors, Rob.
And those drivers will be thinking inside they just want a clean race, get their head down, a good start. It's really, really hot out there. So as well as about managing the car, managing the tyres, they're going to be wanting to mount themselves. As we got a car wide on the grass there. Just kicking up a bit of dirt as they go onto the back straight there and head down towards Brundle, under the bridge. We're going to go right into Nelson's as well. This is going to be a bit of a pinch point as they go under the bridge, turn in now. You could just see the back ends getting a little bit screwy on them, but it's the number 1 car in the lead as it stands, as they then head towards the bomb hole, get into that cambered corner, and they're just about in single file now, Scott, but a few of them nose to tail. We're going to have these battle packs up and down the grid, but as the temperatures go up on these cars, it's going to be about preservation. Look after the tyres, look after the driver, but still keep that raw pace in the car.
Yep, certainly is, and the raw pace certainly is what seemingly GCI and Uwe to quite have. Red River Sport are going with them as well. The 210 car which made a good start, 4th on the grid, Fueled Up Racing. That's in the mix too as they come up out of Murray's up to the end of lap number 1 in this second round of Fun Cup Endurance of 2023, and it is GCI Racing who lead the way then from Uwe Hoffmann's Motorsport in second place. MJ Tech in third position. Red River Sport have dropped down to 5th position. That's in the Team Viking car. So Team Viking got a brand new car for this season, but it's a different car for this season. But the previous, what was the old 210 car, I think, for Viking, has now, the 110 car, has now changed to Red River Sport instead. That's Team Viking's old machine, but they're about to lose another spot because there goes the 212 black and purple machine of EDF Motorsport through. So that is Rob Croydon at the wheel, making the move past the 110 with Gareth Williams. And that car will hand over to Bonnie Grimes and then Johnny Bolam in the stint. Johnny Bolam will climb in the third, and also he'll get in for the final stint as well. So if they're in a good position, they can certainly benefit from his ultimate pace. Speaking of ultimate pace, that was MJ Tech on the move there. That was Martin Gibson trying to make a move. Sorry, was Scott Jeffs trying to make a move on Farkini into the hairpin. and nose to tail now for 4th, 5th and 6th, because also 210 has lost out to the EDF Motorsport car. So both Fueled Up Racing and Red River Sport are getting passed by the very fast moving Vlad Vasiliev in the 212 car. Rob Croydon at the wheel, going from 6th to 4th in as many corners, and already starting to set off after the top 3.
Poor Red River Racing, really. It looks like they've dropped 20 quid and picked up sixpence from first front row down to 5th, unfortunately, and already 3 seconds behind our leader there, the number 1 car, the GCI Racing car, as they head back up the back straight now around Williams. Nose to tail as they head up the back straight. Car number 99 there in front of us. That's the Seed Motorsport car.
Team C Data, I think, that's up there in the
I'll put my
top
teeth
10.
back in now.
Team C Data in 7th place at the moment with Axiometrics. Team 3 Motorsport up there in 9th place, and Green Heat rounding out the top 10. So already a breakaway top 3. There goes Savan Kintoni putting 2 wheels. I think he wanted to be back onto 2 wheels. We clipped the curve then, put the car almost on 2 wheels.
That was
side by side with the Team Green Heat car. Up the inside also there goes 155. That's the Team Ratters Racing car with Peter David and John Ratcliff. Peter at the wheel to start that car, so that's a good scrap that's going on already just outside the top 10. That's for around about 10th, 11th and 12th as the top 3 make their way out towards Murray's for the second time. Already you can see there that Rob Croyd trying to pull away in the EDF Motorsport car as well, and just behind them of course we've got chasing after Fueled Up Racing and Red River Sports. Across the line they go then. Still with Ian Wood now challenge for the lead up the inside. Look, Scott Jeff, he's looking for the move in towards Richie's corner. Can he make that one stick? He was very close to make it through, but he backed out the last second and realised he wasn't going to make that move entirely possible. He's looking again as they come down towards the Wilson hairpin. Is he better on the brakes? He is this time by up the inside towards Wilson hairpin, and if GCI and Ian Wood isn't careful, he might bring Farkini with him to pull Uvia Hoffman's Motorsport into second place. Already, some 6 minutes in, and already a fantastic fight for the lead developing, Rob.
That Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport car, Farkini was really having a good look there. He's thinking, right, you two bang your castanets together because I'm going to go for the lead, as they go round Palmer for the first time, down to Agostini, down on to the inside of the circuit. They're really going hell for leather here as they then hard on the brakes down into Agostini. They are line astern at the moment, but that Uvio car is looking pretty ominous in third place, chasing that first place. And this battle pack of 3 cars have already got 4 seconds on the EDF Motorsport car that sits in 4th place, followed by Red River Racing in 5th. The start of this race, well, we knew it was going to be frantic, Scott. Just wait until the pit stops happen. Yeah,
that's really when it's going to start to shake out. But we're in that phase, the initial part of the race, where everyone's bunched together, everyone's running at the same sort of pace, and they're all starting to group together and provide some pretty key racing. I noticed there was a green flag board, light board that was out there. So I wonder if there's been something happening up at the Wilson hairpin, because I did see that was on the exit of Wilson, that possibly someone's had a spin or something happened. Then one of our cameras check. And there's the top, it's 99. That's the Team C Data car, and it's come to a halt right on corner exit in the middle of the road. Now this has happened right as the possible change for the lead. Up the inside into Brundle goes Scott Jeffs, and he brings the MJ Tech car on their first appearance of the season into the lead past the defending champions, and ahead of also as well of the Uvia Hoffman's team, which of course are multiple champions as well. That's not bad for your first appearance of the year, is it?
Not at all. Fantastic move down the inside into Brundle, make it stick. He was looking so fast on the lap before, trying that little move into Riches and bringing the Uvio Hoffman's car into the fight there with Farkini at the wheel. Down through the bomb holes we go, but if that car is still stuck at the hairpin, I'm wondering, and we could see yellow flags out on circuit, it looks like we are going to have the first appearance of the safety car in this race.
Indeed, timing screen has gone safety car. You can see in the top left, what was a green box has gone to yellow. Now that move there from 155, that was the Ratters Racing car at the inside of the Viking car, which is in there too, and I wonder if either that was him repassing because the safety car boards had come out, or that was them trying to retake the position. Otherwise, if they had done that, might be questions about that in the stewards, but we'll leave that. It might have just been him going back through, possibly, or Viking letting Ratters Racing back through to take the position as the safety car has indeed for this next 4-hour race, because lights are back out on the safety car, and it is going to be MJ Tech who will lead them back across the line, put back past the green flag, and we are back underway under racing conditions here at Snetterton for round 2 of Fun Cup Endurance, and it is a clean restart for Scott Jeffs for MJ Tech GTs. He leads them across the line, so it's MJ Tech who lead the way back into Richie's corner on the restart. GCI Racing on their tail, 3rd place for EDF for Team Uvia Hoffman's Motorsport, and that car I'm going to watch out for in P4, already making a good jump on the restart. 212 EDF Motorsports, that has currently Rob Croydon at the wheel. He's certainly keeping the top 3 in close attention as they come back into Wilson hairpin, and it is really a top 4 breakaway, with the rest of the pack being led by the Axiometrics car. He's trying to pull away in 5th, and already a scrap for 6th between Red River Sport and the 251 JPR for hire car, which has made actually quite a lot of progress up from where it was to just outside the top 10.
That Red River Sport car did look a bit squirrely into the hairpin there. They're really wringing its neck, but look at this lead battle pack, Scott. You could see on the green flag lap as they came back over the start-finish line, these four have just cleared off into the distance, and I'm hoping for some fireworks here before we get the first pit stops underway. It may be hot out on track, and we've got a visitor from the Vape Club. Is that the EDF Motorsport Vape Club car? That's already been in for a stop.
It is, and it's a rare sight in the Fun Cup race. So it's like it's a wheel change, so something that happened either possibly something to do with the tyre or the wheel, but you don't often see tyre stops in Fun Cup unless it's absolutely necessary. Those GT tyres do tend to take quite a punishment over the 4-hour race, and they can last pretty much the whole distance. I wonder maybe possibly if it's because it's slightly hotter out there than they might have expected, that it might be overworking the tyres a bit, or it looked like it was more kind of a tyre or a wheel problem rather than actual the fact they've used them up too much, but it looked like a pretty fresh tyre that was on there already. We'll see how that works. One team I just want to give a shout out to, actually, who's made a fantastic start from where they were originally, is the JPR for Hire car 251. That's got Martin Gibson, Jason Cheatham and Tom Greensall. That car started back in 17th place on the grid on the random draw. It's already up to 7th place in the order. So that's currently got at the moment, that's Martin Gibson at the wheel, who has raced in the MG Tech GT car before alongside Scott Jeffs. He's quite a talented car himself, and when he's not racing Fun Cup cars, he's usually racing trucks, which is obviously something else he's quite good at too. But a fantastic effort from Martin in that 251 car, the JPR for Hire car. I'd say these hire cars from JPR, talk about hire cars being the fastest in the world, that's car certainly one of the fastest cars in the field.
Absolutely, that is the unwritten rule throughout the world. Any hire car you have is the fastest thing. I'm just watching these cars go absolutely through that final left-hander before they go back up the centre straight. The rear ends are stepping out on these cars, and I'm wondering, as we also see the Vape Club car, he gets back onto the circuit, but the Axiometrics GRD Racing
pushed, but of course only seeing in the aftermath of the incident, it's difficult to tell either one. But I'm sure if Jamie's out there and is able to have a chat with the guys when they come in, to possibly find out if he did have his spin on his own, or if he was actually tagged and put around by somebody else. Looking further back in the field now, we're seeing Team Greenheath having a scrap over 7th place with Shy GB. That will have Ted Smith at the wheel. He'll hand over to Sam later on. Then you've got two very identical looking cars. That's the Red River Sport car with Gareth Williams at the wheel, just being chased down by the team that used to run that car. That's the old Team Viking car. Team Viking are up behind them, up against their old car, probably getting confused, thinking, hold on a minute, is that our car or was it? And probably it's like Spider-Man meme, kind of thinking, are you the Team Viking car? No, I'm the Team Viking car. But that's the Red River Sport running Viking's old car. There's a new car which has now been put into Team Viking colours, which they're now running for this season. And of course it's definitely not confusing out on track, but they're battling over 9th and 10th, and Viking trying to pick itself up after it started. It has now into 9th place, started back in 19th on the grid on the 10th row, and of course also trying to pick their way through is this car too, the winners from Brands Hatch, Team Olympian. And also they've managed to get ahead of PLR Racing as well. So the 3 cars have started right at the back. 3 of our regular front runners are currently sat at the moment in now 9th position, 11th and 13th, as we see.
I mean, the UVO car is not used to it. It had the pace before the safety car, so it's not used to being the hunting. It's normally doing the hunting. But these two in front, as they cross the line now, they're doing 2:18.5. Not the absolute fastest of the race, but it's pretty near up there. As we see these two battling going into Rich's corner. The UVO car just showing a bit of a nose down to the left, to the right. They're heading down towards the hairpin now. This gaggle of 4 cars, but the 2 in front have absolutely cleared off into the distance.
At the wheel after he's taken over from John Perrott.
So pit stops now, well into their stint here, as we see that's car number 155 into the pit lane. The Team Ratters racing car of Peter Ratcliff, David Ratcliff and John Ratcliff, and I can tell you the guy that is due to take over that car is John Ratcliff, so he is going to be out second in that car. But these 2 lead runners,
UVO once again, it's that team once again, but look, you can see how close it is now, because coming out on track, both these 2 have come out pretty close. It's now Farkini versus Ian Wood, like it was in the first stint, but then there's a second apart between them. As for 3rd and 4th, it's now 2.7 seconds apart. So you can see here that Team Shy GB has stayed ahead of Team Olympian and gained about 1.5 seconds over them in that pit stop sequence alone.
And Shire GB will be absolutely ruining that slow pit stop. I'm wondering if maybe there was the issue with the fuel churn that I spoke to you about earlier on. I'm wondering if that would potentially caused a few seconds of, or rather added a few seconds to the stop that they really could not afford. But this GCI racing car hot on the heels of the Team UVO Hoffman's car. First and second on screen as they come down the back straight into Brundle and then into Nelson. They will be this time around. He has a quick look down the inside. He's just showing his nose. Is he going to do it going under the bridge, down the inside? A lovely little move there. What does the UVO Hoffman's motorsport car have for them? Well, in this case, I think he's...
There and thought, if I try and fight him, either it's going to have some issues, or...
Oh, we've got a car round.
That's the James Gang car, isn't it? 157's gone around. Yes, it is. So...
They've got that 3-second cushion now to GCI Racing, so they've got to make sure that they get past the traffic nice and cleanly. As we can see now on screen, you know, they're going to be having their own battles as we see one of the cars get a bit crossed up there going through Coram. If you run onto the outside of Coram, it does get a bit sketchy out there, I can tell you. But the Team Shire GB car in 5th place. And a big shout out actually to Team Viking and Ursus Capital Racing. They've kind of snuck up there a bit unannounced. We haven't really commentated on them a lot in this race because they've just gone about the job, got it done, and now they're up there and potentially on the cusp of a podium finish should something go wrong for one of our top 3. And there's still that big question mark over GCI Racing because of that contact earlier with Team Olympian.
Another place lost for Team Shire GB whilst that was happening. Axiometrics up to 7th place. Again, they were towards the front. We haven't really talked about them too much in this sort of mid part of the race, but now they've got, I think it's Simon Rudd in the car now for their penultimate stint, and then on top of that Scott Park in. So those two will be the 2 drivers that will take it towards the end. Yeah, Simon Rudd now at the wheel. I mean, now had that great first stint that he put in there, so this will be fun to watch with Simon at the wheel.
And more importantly, what drivers are going in last, because I don't know about you, but Riley Phillips, he was absolute dynamite in that Team Olympian car. It's looking good for him again. I don't want to put the kibosh on it, but I'm so looking forward to him getting back out.
Do you think, because they did this to get Christian Rose in the car, do you think that when the pit window opens in literally about 4 seconds time, that they'll bring in that Olympian car in early to stick Riley Phillips and to give him the most amount of driver time, provided it's within the driver time allowed, in order for him to try and maximise how much time he's got to reel that gap in? Because if I'm Olympian, back into Richie's once again. This is for the 86th time in this race, so we are just marching towards potentially getting towards maybe 100 laps. We may or may not miss it. We'll wait and see. Olympian are in early. Now then, that's interesting.
Here we go.
I wonder, are they doing exactly what I suspected they might do? And let's see, is there any fuel as well either? No fuel. So this is it, then they're going to the end. It's, again, just as I predicted they might well have done. They brought Christian Rose in the early part of the stint, sticking Riley Phillips in. Right, one objective, go get the victory.
What a pit stop. That was absolute lightning, Scott.
And then the black car almost got hidden on the screen as it went past, but thankfully it is still there and still circulating.
I think that was the world's longest Fun Cup car then, Scott.
I'm sure Andy McEwen has seen more. I'm sure he's seen those things. I was going to say about pit stop stats, but Andy McEwen has a very fantastic pit stop spreadsheet, a spreadsheet for Fun Cup, which is every single conceivable stat about every single race that you could think of. And I wonder if he even keeps anything about pit stop times, because less than 10 seconds for a Fun Cup pit stop, that has to be somewhere towards one of the fastest pit stops we've ever seen in Fun Cup. That was a really...
0. And in third place, Team Olympian, that is a 2:17.4. So that gap now between the three of them has come down again. Overall, it shrunk to 4.2 seconds. We're on for a grandstand finish here, folks. We're coming up to the 15-minute mark left. And we've got some very nervous teams in pit lane, I am sure, waiting for the conclusion of this 4-hour Fun Cup race. And Scott, you are absolutely dead on. Low-cost endurance racing. It doesn't mean that there's not enough racing involved. We saw that with the 24 hours at Silverstone last week that came to quite an explosive conclusion. And I tell you what, I wouldn't rule out anything getting a bit tasty here. This looks absolutely fantastic. We have got the podium shootout just for the top 3 places. So if you're in the Viking car, you're hoping something's going to happen, because they're sat in the box seat in 4th place and they're only realistically 40 seconds behind this battle. So if anything did happen, and potentially it has happened in endurance racing before, Scott, they could potentially be in the box seat. We see a bit of enthusiastic, and is that the car 104 going quite slow?
I think it's been a little bit off the pace most of the race anyway, unfortunately. It's probably just running at what should be its own pace. I was going to mention, this is this position as well. This is for 212 EDF Motorsport, battling with the Ratters Racing Squad. Really quiet but solid race throughout for Ratters Racing, and now they're battling over what is currently now 8th position between them. This is 4th actual position in the race. It's not just track position, and back through goes 212 EDF Motorsport. This will be Simon Coles at the wheel, while the Ratters Racing car is going to have at the moment David Ratcliff at the wheel as well. This is David Ratcliff versus Simon Coles, and it's Coles who gets back through for the 212 car. Now, for our leaders haven't gone through just yet, but they will do shortly. So onto the back straight goes the 212 car. They've got the advantage as when they came across the line. They were in this order, but it was a tenth and a half between them. And the Ratters Racing car getting a good run in the slipstream down towards it. Down towards the complex. Here come the leaders very shortly, I think, as they come out of Murray's. Let's see how close it is this time. I think they're all much closer together, I think. Look at this. This is not 4.2 seconds anymore. Look at this. Across the line they come then. Lap times 2:18.9 for Uvio, 2:19.2, 2:16.7 for Riley Phillips. That is almost 2 seconds taken at 1.8 seconds in one lap. So the gap was, what was it, 4.2 seconds the last time by. It's now down to just over 2 seconds in one lap. As for Viking, they've calmed down a little bit. Their last lap was a 2:18.9, but again, setting some personal bests in the last couple of laps. It's pretty impressive stuff from the 170 car of Mark Holm and Colin Kingsnorth. And they're just chasing after Ratters Racing here. Past the pits, there you go. Here's your fourth place car. And they're doing personal bests with basically, the front left is missing in terms of bodywork on that car, but it's impressive stuff for them. Quick stories of the rest of the race. We're keeping an eye on this lead battle, but rest of the top 10 we shouldn't ignore. Fifth for MJ Tech at the moment. How to just reel it back in again a little bit when they on the twisty stuff. So this is not totally done yet. He's not fully out of the woods, is Riley.
I'm wondering if it's just getting into that mindset of, right, I've done the job, I'm in front, I just need to manage the car, manage the lap, manage the time.
Now then, I made that face because GCI Racing have pumped in a 2:17.8. They've matched the pace of Olympian. Okay. That's interesting. So 2:17.8 for Olympian, 2:18.1 for Uvia Hoffman, 2:17.8 for GCI. Personal best of their race with 5 minutes to go. Yeah, 1.6 seconds. This ain't done. This isn't over yet. They're going to come back at them and possibly try and make it a last gasp effort, I think.
4 minutes to go, Scott. What we got on here?
This is the 212 EDF Motorsport car running in 9th position. Red River Sport have steadily climbed back. They've got Johnny Molam at the wheel now, so he's down into P10, ahead of the JPR for hire car. So fifth, so they're some 50 seconds off, but their lap times are looking all right, looking pretty decent. But the EDF car, EDF is one of those teams where they've got quite a lot of endurance experience. They've done some stuff in Brit car as well with TCR cars and such, but in Fun Cup, they've steadily been getting quicker and quicker as the couple of seasons have gone on. They've been finding a bit more pace and really finding a bit of a trick in the set.
The Team Olympian car with Riley Phillips at the wheel. All he's got to do is keep it sensible, keep it on the black stuff, don't make any mistakes, and just keep that pace going, but he's gone. That's just a bit too much of a late lock up there, and I'm afraid, Scott, potentially that has just sealed second place for GCI Racing for this 4-hour endurance race.
Potentially, but of course it's never over till you get to the checkered flag. Anything else could happen. This could be pretty intriguing. There's MJ Tech, who are still in 5th position. They're having a long track scrap with the car in 9th place, which is 212 EDF Motorsport. A few more cars that are still going to get to the line. The 104 cars had a very eventful day here at Snetterton, but they're going to still make it to the flag in 16th. And you saw the Viking car ahead of Ratters Racing there, who again, we've talked about it a few times, haven't been the most exciting car out there, but again, solid, consistent, undramatic, just getting the laps done and climbing up to 8th position. That's a really good, solid drive from Ratters Racing. I'm very impressed by them so far, the trio in the Ratters squad. Good stuff from them.
Fantastic.
The timer has hit 0.